So this video will be my review of the finale of Secret Invasion on Disney+. So if you enjoy this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. This is a spoiler warning for the events that took place in Secret Invasion Episode 6. So I've seen some differing opinions online already, and I've seen people say that they thought the finale was rushed and like, what the hell was that in comparison to the rest of the season. I'll be completely honest, I did not think that this finale was bad at all. I thought it was good. I can kind of see how some people might think it was rushed. I think it's possible that it might have been slightly rushed, but I didn't really feel like it was too detrimental when I was actively watching the episode. I remember watching WandaVision for the first time, I think, and I remember actively feeling that, like, once the episode was getting closer and closer to the end, I remember feeling like it was rushed, and I didn't really have that feeling with this episode. I don't know if that's just because the entire series was just really well paced, like there wasn't maybe too much build up in the first half and not enough conclusion in the second half, or, you know, vice versa. I think it's possible that, to me, this series was pretty evenly paced. I will say one of the bigger questions from this episode is that, obviously, how long has Rhodey been a Skrull for? Because they've kind of implicated how long he's been a Skrull for, but I think they did that intentionally to kind of mess with the viewers, right? Because when we see Rhodey in, like, the Skrull compound and he's being rescued by Gaia and other forces and stuff like that, he's in a hospital gown, and then we get Agent Everett Ross look over to him, and he's like, "Colonel Rhodes, how long have you been in here?" And Rhodes doesn't have a response, but he's struggling to get out of the containment because he can't walk. And the fact that he's in a hospital gown, it's insinuating, potentially I should say, that Colonel Rhodes has been a Skrull ever since his accident in Civil War. Now, I've seen a lot of people say they don't like that, yada yada, whatever. It does obviously hurt because it dampens moments with him in Infinity War and Endgame and stuff like that. There's no doubt. But I will say a couple things. Number one, the Secret Invasion comic also was doing the same things, where, like, you were finding out that certain characters were Skrulls the whole time for a certain amount of time, and it almost dampens certain character developments that they might have had. So that's something that the Secret Invasion comic was known for anyway. That's number one. And number two, I think this implication so far was meant to mess with us more than anything, and I think that we'll find out for sure how long Rhodey was a Skrull for in Armor Wars, obviously, when that comes to pass. I honestly think that Rhodey has simply been a Skrull since after the events of Endgame, and there are a couple things that can be used as evidence to support this. Number one, he bled in Infinity War and Endgame, and his blood was red. That's number one. Obviously, you know, in Infinity War and Endgame, I'm sure they didn't plan not only Secret Invasion, but I'm sure they didn't plan on Rhodey being a Skrull at that point in time anyway, so that's not a super strong piece of evidence in my opinion, but it could be used as a piece of evidence, number one. Number two, and I would say this is the stronger piece of evidence, is that when it comes to the harvest and the collecting of all the Avengers' DNA on the Battle of Earth and the battlefield of Endgame, the only people who knew about the collection of DNA was Nick Fury and the collectors of the DNA themselves, who was a team of Skrulls. And the team of Skrulls that were collecting the DNA, they were led by Gravik. So this tells you that Gravik, at least by this point in time, was most likely still on Fury's side, or at least, you know, he didn't full-on set his plans in motion yet to get all these Skrulls in place and stuff like that. So the fact that Gravik was on the team helping collect the DNA, if Gravik wasn't on Fury's side, I feel like he would have just taken the DNA and ran at that point, which means that Rhodey was most likely not a Skrull, and he wasn't a Skrull until Gravik set his plans in action further into the future after that point. But obviously all of this is just evidence. This is just me making an educated guess. Nothing was 100% confirmed, and I think that was the point. I think things will be more confirmed whenever Armor Wars comes around. I will say as well, the speech that the President of the United States gave afterwards about how they're going to kill all the Skrulls when they find them and stuff like that, and it leads to this huge state of paranoia and stuff by other citizens, killing people who they not only know are Skrulls, but even killing people that they suspect are Skrulls, but don't even have evidence for. I honestly kind of like this kind of tidbit that they did, because it doesn't leave everything happy-go-lucky like the day is saved, yada yada, and it also adds just this interesting element that they could potentially explore more with all of these extremists popping up and conspiracy theorists, not only towards the Skrulls, but even the Skrulls might be more hostile now too towards humans with how they're acting and stuff like that. I just think it's a really cool plot point, although I will say it was completely unexpected that the President of the United States went that route, but I mean, it took me by surprise at least, but it is what it is. And then now Gaia is our only surviving Super Skrull because she ended up killing Gravik. My only thing with this, and this kind of dates back to Iron Man 3 as well, I'm not really following the rules of the Extremis healing stuff from Iron Man 3, because it seems like, you know, it allows people to heal from wounds pretty fast, but they can't heal from like super devastating wounds. I'm kind of curious onto what the rules are for that. Like, all she really did was blast a hole through Gravik's chest using Captain Marvel powers, so I'm just kind of like, was that really all it took for him to not recover from Extremis? Or maybe that's also kind of the point, is for us to question whether Gravik actually survived or not, and we just don't know yet. Either way, we know Gaia is alive, and she is now an incredibly strong character in the MCU. What people would probably say she is the strongest character in the MCU currently, because she has the DNA of everybody who was on the Battle of Earth, and then some, because we had people like Frost Beast, Abomination, and stuff like that in there. So it's honestly incredibly crazy how OP they seemingly made Gaia. And I hope that they either put maybe like a failsafe in her, or they don't like nerf her in some way. I mean, that's what it happens with comic books and comic book movies in general. People are only as strong as the writers want them to be, so it honestly is what it is. But they definitely made Gaia incredibly OP to where there's going to be a bunch of annoying conversations in the future talking about, oh, well, where is Gaia? Why wasn't Gaia just here to stop this? Because she has literally everybody's powers, and it's definitely going to be annoying. I'm hoping maybe we get in like the future, we see that Nick Fury somehow put in like a fail-safe to the DNA that she absorbed and stuff too, that allows him to like maybe render her powerless in certain situations. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing, but it would definitely be interesting, and it would also kind of restore my faith in Nick Fury a little bit, as opposed to what this season did. Because honestly, like I've said in other reviews, I truly don't think Nick Fury has like become like completely like useless. I don't even want to say that because I feel like it's going too far. But I just feel like there was this level of mystery to Nick Fury, and how he always had a plan, and how he was always in the shadows cooking something up. And this series for me just kind of felt like he was just going with the flow and like trying to keep up with these Skrulls who were just way steps ahead of him. It seemed like, obviously, to me, like obviously the Gaia switch with him, and he actually was going to the president, and Gaia was the one confronting Gravik in the reactor and stuff like that. It was obviously a smart move, but it wasn't anything like too crazy, in my opinion. What would have been really crazy is if at some point Nick Fury supposedly died, but then we found out it was like a robot or something, or an android, and that the real Nick Fury was on Saber still. That would have been an incredibly crazy reveal, that I was honestly hoping a little bit that they would do something like that. But I'm overall not disappointed with the series. I do just wish they did a little bit more with making Nick Fury out to be more mysterious and more prepared to solve the problems that were presented with him. But I would say overall, I would probably give this series like a 7 to 8 out of 10, probably like a 7.5. I think, like, I still think Loki is my favorite Disney Plus series by far, probably then followed by Moon Knight, and I think number 3 is possibly Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm not entirely sure, but I think I would feel comfortable. I'd probably say Loki, Moon Knight, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, maybe WandaVision, and then maybe Secret Invasion after that. Like, maybe Secret Invasion is on par with WandaVision for me. I'm not entirely sure, but overall, I did think it was a good series. they didn't do a whole lot to set up the Marvels other than mention the Kree wanting to be involved in peace talks at the end and stuff, which I don't think is a big deal at all, but people were saying before that it was going to set up the Marvels hardcore, and it's like they're doing what I thought they were going to do with these Disney Plus series, is that they're keeping them connected to the MCU while simultaneously keeping them disconnected, where what I mean by that is like a general audience can basically still be able to watch the movies and not have watched any of the shows, is what it's seeming like, which I feel like they're going to continue that trend. But like I said, I thought this series was good. I didn't think it was disappointing, especially the finale. I think I'm probably opposite of how a lot of people feel on the finale. It looks like a lot of people didn't enjoy the finale in comparison to the rest of the series, but comment down below and let me know how you enjoyed Secret Invasion. And if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content, and I appreciate you for watching the video.